Okay. So nice. I love these like it's gotta call it. My mom changed her profile picture. It's funny. This lucky. Is MA's friend? Yeah, I think it's MA's friend. Sino pärlta med utan hujabok. Interesting. Hey, how's it going, Dante?
Fine. How are you, Farhan?
Good, good. How are you?
Fine. Uh, there was a problem with to connect
To Colingo?
to join the class.
Uh-huh. Is it something that is still causing problems? I think it's okay now, right?
Uh,
Because you're able to join.
in the URL, I have to erase the last four characters
Mm-hmm.
to get into.
You had to erase the last four. I'm sorry, what was that?
Could you repeat?
You had to erase the last four. What was the word after that?
I have to erase the last four characters.
Characters,
in
characters,
characters, yes,
uh-huh.
in the at the URL.
Oh, no way. Okay.
It was written, no, it was writing HTTP
Oh, really? At the end of
in
the link.
in the last part of the link.
Uh-huh.
I think that the partners maybe have the same problem. For
Sure,
that
sure.
reason, they can get into
To the class, right?
the logic.
That's interesting. Okay, I'm gonna check. I think since you made it, sorry about that, Dante. I was disconnected. Since you made it, I think maybe we'll be okay. I'm just trying to see if there are any other. We'll see if somebody else can join. Unfortunately, I don't know what's maybe controlling the link. Um, my friends on the development side will be able to help us out with that. I can tell them that maybe that you had that problem so that they can fix it. Um, but how else have you been, Dante? How's life?
Well, it has been very well.
Hmm.
Resting at the weekend.
I know, right? Today was a nice day here as well. I think people were relaxing and just didn't have that much. Um, they didn't have any big things to do. Today was actually a holiday here, so it was a federal holiday. Columbus Day is what we call it, but also it's known as El Día de la Raza
Mm,
in many parts of Latin America, I think. Um,
yes. In Spain, it was Saturday.
oh, really? So El Día de la Raza was on Saturday,
Yes, 12th, October 12th.
October 12th. Okay, okay, interesting. Yeah, here today was October 14th. I think they don't like to have a Saturday holiday. They want to give people a long weekend, so
Okay.
it's always on the following Monday. Um, but that's interesting. That's really good to know. Um, so I guess, Dante, let's get started actually. I don't want to wait too long because you're here. Today, the subject of this class, we're going to be looking at one main topic, right? That main topic is actually subject-verb agreement, right? So what does that mean when we say subject-verb agreement? It means a lot of things. It means, number one, that when you have a verb in a sentence or when you use a verb in English, the verb needs to agree to the subject that is being that it's modifying, right? So the subject has to agree with the verb. If I say, if I use the subject I, then the verb that follows I must be compatible with I, right? So let's say the verb I want to say is study, right? I have to say I study, right? You study. This is just for the present tense, just a simple present tense, right? I study, you study, he studies, right? She studies, we study, and then you again for more than one person, you study, and then for they, it's also they study, right? So there are only the only exception is he and she, where it's he or she studies, right? So
Okay.
that's where the distinction is. So when it comes to any language, really, we need to have subject and verb agree with each other. What makes English special is there are many examples that we need to keep in mind for subject-verb agreement, right? Before we get to that, so I'm going to get to that part of the lesson in a little bit. The second part of the lesson, so the article that we are looking at studying today is actually talking about the Winter World Cup. So in 2022, so 9 years from now, the Winter World Cup will take place in a small country called uh, Qatar, right? Qatar is in the Arabian Peninsula, and it is a very small country, and it's a very hot country because the weather there is, I mean, it's a desert, right? So
Right.
there is debate that the World Cup in 2022 should be held in the winter, so that the players don't have to play football in extremely hot temperatures. 50 degrees Celsius, 45 degrees Celsius weather is extremely hot, right?
Right.
So I wanted to ask you, Dante, when was the last time you visited a stadium?
Mm, the last time when I go to the stadium was uh, 2012 to
Hmm.
see a match against Atlético de Madrid,
Hmm.
uh, against Sevilla, I think. In Madrid. It was in Madrid.
Hmm. It was in Madrid. So how was that experience? Did you like it?
Yes, I like it very much. Uh,
Nice.
Here in Spain, the football is a lot of popular.
Hmm. And what the great thing about, I think, football is it's something that I think in Europe, especially and in many parts of the world, I mean, the World Cup becomes something that is um, something that people follow religiously, right? They love their teams. They are very passionate about the team that is representing their country, and they get very very excited before the World Cup. Um, this time, I mean, and not this time necessarily, but in 2022, the World Cup is going to be the first time it's in the Middle East. So you have to worry about security, perhaps you have to worry about the weather in this case, and I think it's going to be interesting. What do you personally think about having the World Cup in that country in 2022?
Uh, where I was listening to about the hot in 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 Qatar,
Hmm.
but I I heard that the the matches were reprogrammed
Where
to
rescheduled, uh huh,
reschedule.
uh huh.
Uh, I don't know if it's true. Well, I heard that they were scheduled
Hmm.
about the house.
Hmm.
Well, I don't know. I think that uh, if the World Cup is going to be at Qatar, for me it's okay. I think that all the continents must have the opportunity to organize the World Cup.
Hmm. So
Because
something, yeah.
I heard that United Kingdom to wanted to remove the
Their team.
the World Cup of Qatar. I don't know.
Oh, really? I had not heard that before.
Yeah, they say that it was very hot. I don't know.
Hmm.
I heard something about. I'm not so sure. Uh, I don't have the exact phrase, but I heard something about. I don't know.
Hmm. No, I think that makes a lot of sense. I think a lot of people were skeptical of the idea of a Middle Eastern country, especially a country like Qatar, hosting the World Cup for the first time because there are considerations, right? There are considerations they need to take into account. I think from the understanding that, it's the first time that this country has done something like this, and that you need to be cautious of, so many factors. But hopefully it ends up being a very fun event and a very meaningful event for the people there, right?
Right.
Yeah. So let's take a look, Dante, real quick at the. So we'll review the grammar, right? So the first thing we talked about, subject-verb agreement. I think we understood that the verb needs to reflect the subject, right? That's just crucial in English. Something that is very important for every language, but it's especially important in English because we have some exceptions, right? So the first type of, if we have singular nouns or pronouns, right? Let's say we are saying, I or my sister and my brother, um, uh, my sister and my brother love to go to school, right? So in this example, we see that these are singular subjects, right? My sister, my brother. And we have, between them, we are using and, right? When we have subjects that are singular, but we have more than one of them, and then when we combine them with and, the verb that we use needs to be the verb for the plural, right?
Okay.
So my sister and my brother like going to school, right?
Right.
When we have two singular nouns or pronouns that are connected by or connected by nor, then we have to use a singular verb and not a plural verb, right? So, for example, either the pencil or the pen can be used on the exam, right? Either the either pen or pencil can be used in the exam, right? Or either the pen or pencil is in my either a pen or pencil is in my bag, right? So we're using is because we are connecting these singular nouns, pen and pencil, with the word or, right? And the same for nor. Nor and or we use the singular verb. For and we use the plural verb, right? So give me an example, Dante, of a sentence that uses that has singular subjects that uses and then just that. Give me an example of a sentence with singular subjects that use and. So each of the subjects needs to be singular, and we are combining them with the word and, right? So I want you to also at the end, I want you to use the verb as well. What would the verb look like? Yeah.
This mouse and this screen are working very well.
This mouse and this screen are working very well. Fantastic, right? Because you have this mouse and this screen. So we're using the plural verb are.
Yeah.
Fantastic, right? What about if we have a sentence in which we have singular nouns, but they are now combined by or? So a good way to start a sentence like this is with either or with neither, right? So either or neither. So we can start like that.
Can I use or?
Yeah, you can use either, and then you can say the first subject. Then you can say or, and then you can say the second subject after that.
Okay.
Right.
Neither this sound driver or the Windows 7 update is causing the problem.
Fantastic, right? If we use neither, however, we have to use nor.
No.
If we use either, we can say or. Okay? For neither, we have to use nor.
No.
Right? So can you fix that sentence just one last time?
The sound driver or this last Windows update is causing the problem.
Neither the sun driver. What do you mean by that, Dante?
I don't have to use neither. Only or. I can use only or.
Well,
to say that something or another something is causing a problem.
You would have to use either at the beginning if you want to use or.
Oh, either.
Either if you want to use or, neither if you want to use nor.
Why?
Yeah.
Either this sound driver or this last Windows 7 update is causing the problem.
Okay, fantastic, right? And why did you use is?
Either and or.
Because they are single and they are being combined with or nor, right?
Okay.
Fantastic, right? Where they're single and they're being combined with or nor. So now we have a third example. And the third example is when you have a sentence that has a single subject and a plural subject. Okay?
Right.
The verb that we change, the verb looks to the subject that is closer to it. Do you understand what that means?
Yeah.
So give me an example. Let's see.
An example. I will ask. I will ask an example.
Okay, sure. I can give you an example. Absolutely. So I can say, for example, we have one subject that is plural and one subject that is singular, and they both are in this sentence. And let's say they're combined by and. They're combined by and, right? My family and I. Okay, or let's not say family.
Okay.
My friends and I.
Okay.
My friends and I. What is the verb? Is the verb going to be the plural verb, or is the verb going to be the single verb?
I think it's the plural verb
Exactly. And why is that?
because it's a group.
Because we're using and, right?
Right.
Because we're using and using and, we are making it it's a plural subject, right? My friends and I. It's more than one person, right?
Right.
My friends and I. So it's the same as we. So we are playing. My friends and I are playing, right? We, like in Spanish, decimos nosotros, mis amigos y yo, es lo mismo que nosotros. So that's exactly the same exact thing that we're saying here, right? And that's really at the heart of this lesson, right? Where we have, if we use and, then we always use the plural. And in other examples, so if we have a single subject and a plural subject, okay, let's say we have a single subject and a plural subject, right?
Okay.
But they're combined with an or. What do you think we use? Do we use the single verb or the plural verb? So let's say, for example, the example is my friends, neither my friends nor I.
I think you must use the singular. So
It's this way. It's this way. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dante. One more time.
I think you must use the singular verb in that case.
Why do you think we would use a singular verb?
I conclude that I don't know. I use math because or if you have say a group intersect singular, the intersection is singular.
Yeah, you know, that's a good way of thinking about it. Also, if you look at the sentence itself, right? Whatever subject is next to the verb is what the verb looks to.
Oh, okay.
So the subject that is next to the verb is I, right? My friends, neither my friends nor I. And then it's the verb. So I is the subject that is closest to the verb. Okay. So we look to see so the verb looks to I. I is singular. So if the verb is like, then we say neither my friends nor I like, right?
Oh, okay.
Or neither my friends nor you likes the cake. Neither your friends nor you likes the cake. Because in that case, you is the subject that the verb is looking to. It's the closest subject to the verb. And for you, like would be you likes. I'm sorry, what am I saying? You like. I'm sorry, excuse me. Neither your friends nor you like, right?
Right.
What about if it was neither your friends, neither his friends nor he? What would the verb be?
If. The verb would be if.
Well, exactly, right? It would be is because it looks to he and he is singular.
Yeah.
Fantastic, fantastic. Any questions about that so far, Dante? I know it's a little confusing, but I wanted to make sure that this makes sense.
Yeah, that last rule I didn't know.
Yeah, right. Because it depends on if we're using or nor, then we need to look to whatever subject is closer to the verb.
Oh, okay.
That's the main idea here. So okay, the next question here, or the next part of this lesson that I wanted to talk about very briefly, was that we do have some cases in which we are, in which we use, for example, the single verb for things that are related. If we use the word each, or each one, or either, or neither, or everyone, then we have to use the singular verb, right? So we say, for example, everybody knows Dante, right? Everybody knows Dante. So for some of these words, even though the subject looks like it's more than one person, we use the singular verb, right? Each one of these cakes is delicious. We use each, so we have to use the singular verb. Each one of these cakes is delicious. Everyone knows Dante. Either response is correct, right? So for these examples, we use the singular.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. And then another example is for certain things like mathematics, dollars, like when we talk about money, right? Diseases. These kinds of things, we also use the singular verb, right? So if we are talking about, for example, the news, right? The news is on TV at 6 o'clock. So we say the news is on TV. We don't say the news are on TV.
Right.
Right? So there are certain examples like that. And for diseases, for example, there's a disease called mumps, right? So for example, his mumps is contagious. Is contagious. His mumps is very, very. His mumps is very debilitating, very bad. Right? We don't use are. For these things, we use is. And however, there are other examples. So for these, we use is. For other subjects, we always use are. Things that come in pairs, right? Things that come in pairs. So, for example, those pants are dirty, right? Those shoes are clean. So for shoes, pants, these kinds of subjects, we use are, right? And then the very last thing I wanted to mention was that there are some words that we look to that they describe more than one person, but we use the singular verb. And these words are, for example, family. The family lives in that house, right? Even though family is more than one person, we use the singular verb. So that family lives in that house, right? And then another example is, for example, that committee, right? That committee lives in, or that committee meets every Sunday night, right? That committee meets every Sunday night. So, any questions about some of these specific examples?
Why when you use people, it must be plural?
Because people is one of those examples where people is another one of these examples where the word itself is describing more than one person. So we use the plural to describe when we have the subject people. People live on that street, right? These
like
people,
family?
like family, exactly. Family and people work the same way. They both use the singular.
People.
Oh, I'm sorry, Dante. I just confused you. Family, we use the singular. People, we use the plural.
The plural, yeah.
Yes. So people, we say, for example, those people live on that street, right? But that family lives in this house. These are just things to remember, honestly. It's part of the memorization. It's a little bit difficult, but these are all exceptions to the rule in English.
Yes.
Right?
What I do is no question about the rules, only to apply them.
Only applying them, yeah. And that's where practice is so important. Practice becomes so important, yeah.
always there are exceptions.
But you know, think about it in the sense of Spanish also, right? So Dante, for example, la gente vive en aquella ciudad, right? La
Right.
gente vive. So the people live. It's the same in Spanish,
Yes.
right? So the people is something that is singular verb in Spanish as well. La gente vive.
Okay.
For what else? Let's see. The example of family, la familia vive en aquella casa.
Sí. Y
Sí,
singular.
es lo mismo, sí, también tenemos lo mismo en inglés. But it's a little bit, it is confusing because English has so many exceptions.
Yes.
It's something that really makes English learning difficult, and that's where the memorization becomes important. That's where just the practice becomes important.
Mm-hmm.
You know. So, any other questions, Dante? I know we took our time on this lesson, but there's a lot to cover. That's why.
No, I don't have more questions about this topic.
Okay, fantastic. Let me know though if something comes up and you have a question about that, then definitely let me know. Let's take a quick look at the article then, Dante. So we are talking about the World Cup 2022 in the country of Qatar, and let me really quickly open up the article. I'll paste it in the link. What time is it right now in Spain, Dante? It must be really early in the morning, right?
It's 5:30.
5:30. Wow, that's incredible.
I I woke up late today.
Oh, really?
Woke up. I got up at 4:50, and
When?
I set up my alarm at 4.
Wow, so almost 1 hour late.
Yes, I was so tired. The
Oh,
reason is my my child is ill. He he has a flu.
oh,
And yesterday I come to my bed at 11 between 11 and 12.
mm-hmm. So that's why
Mm.
you had a very, you only slept for 4 or 5 hours, very, very little time.
Yeah, I every day I usually go to my bed at at 10
Mm-hmm.
as a maximum.
Mm-hmm.
Yesterday between 11 and 12.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know, it's difficult sometimes, I guess, with children, especially. I mean, how's your child feeling now? Better?
I don't know. He's sleeping well in this moment,
Uh-huh.
but he gets up or he wakes up several times at night.
Several times a night. Wow. I hope he feels better soon.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're
Thank.
welcome. So, you know, Dante, there's something wrong with the chat window. It's not opening for me. What I'm going to do is I'm going to screen share the article and you can follow on my screen. Is that okay?
Right. The chart.
The chat window for Colingo where I type things is not opening right now, unfortunately.
Oh, okay.
Um, oh, actually, maybe it is. I can use the Google chat, not the Colingo chat. Okay, so I'll do the Google chat then.
Right.
Yeah, usually we also have a Colingo chat window, but that's not working today right now. So, okay, so I'm typing it into the Google chat window. You should be able to see it in just a few minutes, or actually right now. Do you see it? And let's click it open. So let's open it up and let's see what we see. Let me know if you have any questions. Looks good?
Yes. I have the article.
Oh, okay, fantastic. So let's start at the beginning. FIFA assigns group to study winter move for World Cup. Sepp
Okay.
Blatter, the president of FIFA, world soccer governing body, emerged Friday from 2 days of meetings to address serious questions about the 2022 World Cup with a concrete answer to one of them. The 2022 World Cup will be played in Qatar. That's it, Blatter said, after a gathering of FIFA's executive committee. Will that be in the heat of summer or the relative cool of the Middle Eastern winter? I do not know, Blatter said in announcing that a committee headed by the FIFA General Secretary Jerome Valk would study the issue and report back sometime after next year's World Cup in Brazil. The word stakeholders was used a lot in the discussion of the delay, in an apparent reference to the top clubs and leagues that will supply the players and the television networks that have agreed to pay billions of dollars to broadcast the games. All have expressed concerns about the prospect of playing the tournament amid Qatar's scorching summer temperatures. We need to carry out a deep consultation, pay attention to them, and show some diplomacy and wisdom, Blatter said. He added, let us play 2014 with an easy conscience. Afterward, we will look at when the best time the World Cup will be played in Qatar. And the issue of workers' rights, which have become a thorny topic after recent news media reports revealed deaths and poor living conditions among construction workers employed on projects related to the 2022 tournament. Blatter said that he would travel to Qatar to meet the country's 33-year-old lead ruler, Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, in a courtesy visit to discuss, among other things, the conditions that hundreds of thousands of migrant workers face living and working in his country. I express all my sympathy and regret for everything that happens in a country, any country, where there are deaths on construction sites, especially those related to World Cup, Blatter said, though he added that it was impossible to force change on Qatar. Blatter said the responsibility for safeguarding workers' rights also lay with the European construction companies profiting there. With little more to announce to a group of about 100-something hostile journalists, Blatter, 77, answered questions in 3 languages, stonewalled others, and waved away at least one with the flick of his hand. This is not a question, Blatter replied, when presented with a list of the controversies surrounding the Qatar 2022 bid. It is a declaration. I take note of it. I don't agree with it. The meeting of the executive committee had been expected to address a possible move of the World Cup to winter, a change that would disrupt the long-established calendar of many soccer leagues. Instead, the issue of workers' rights became a pressing concern. The head of Qatar's World Cup organizing committee, Hassan Al-Thawadi, who was in Zurich to press the case for the World Cup to remain in Qatar, submitted a letter to the executive committee in which he said Qatari officials had listened to the criticisms of the past few months. The health, safety, well-being, and dignity of every worker that contributes to staging the 2022 World Cup is of the utmost importance to our committee and the state of Qatar, the letter read. The country's prime minister has personally promised to deal with the issue, according to the letter. Blatter's comments drew a furious response from labor groups. Qatar's promise to address worker safety will not solve the problem of forced labor, said Sharon Burrow, General Secretary of the International Trade Union Confederation. The settlement of this global dispute is dependent on actions by FIFA and the political will of the Qatari authorities, which are still absent. FIFA's offer is an insult to the families of the bereaved. Those who attended the meeting were more measured in accepting the executive committee's caution. There was discussion with various opinions on the issue of worker rights, said Prince Ali bin al-Hussein of Jordan, a FIFA vice president who has been a member of executive committees since 2011. He said he would take the Qatar officials on their word. I'll be here to help them, he added. Prince Ali had earlier called on FIFA to set minimum standards of worker protection for World Cup projects to prevent future labor abuses. We want the legacy of the 2022 World Cup to start now when it comes to social responsibility, Prince Ali said. Qatar needs to start acting on that now. Many across the world had hoped to see a shift in the 2022 World Cup's date, or even a revoke on the decision to award it to Qatar over bids from, among others, Australia and the United States. Instead, addressing the world at FIFA's headquarters, Blatter bought himself and his organization more time. There was even room for a characteristic verbal faux pas from Blatter as the meeting ended. For the first time, we have sunshine in the executive committee. We have 3 ladies, Blatter said with a big smile, referring to the first female representatives on FIFA's top decision-making body. So, an interesting but long article, right? When we look at that article, Dante, and what do you take from this article? So there are 2 main issues that they're talking about, right? The first issue is the issue of the date on which this World Cup will be held, right? At the same time, there's another very pressing, very big issue about the workers' rights, right? What do you think is more important, Dante, and what do you think about this article in general?
Uh, when the article refers to the working rights, what happened what happened to the workers?
That's a very good question, Dante. So many of these Middle Eastern countries, so we have countries like Qatar, the UAE, where Dubai, those cities are. These cities and these countries have, for many years now, they have employed workers from poor countries in Asia. So for example, from India, from Pakistan, from Nepal, from Bangladesh, from many different countries. These workers are brought to Qatar, right? They're very poor. They come from very poor countries. So these workers are brought to Qatar, and they are given very little money, right? They're given almost no money, and they are not allowed to return back to their countries, right? So let's say they arrive. As soon as they arrive in Qatar, they take their passports away. Their companies take their passports away, so they can't go anywhere, right? And maybe for years and years and years, 5 or 10 or 15 years, they are forced to just work every single day, right? They have no representation, they have no rights, they have no power, right? They're just slaves, right? They are slaves that are working for the companies, for the construction companies, for the stadium companies, for all of these different companies in these societies, right? So as a result of this, now that for the first time something this international is taking place in one of these countries, a lot of people, a lot of journalists, a lot of media wanted to bring this topic to everyone's attention, right? And what happened at FIFA, at this FIFA meeting, is maybe a lot of these journalists, they wanted to know maybe can we change the date, but they also were very interested in knowing what could be done for the workers. So that's why we have these 2 topics. So now, what do you think?
I didn't know about the workers or about the conditions, but if that if if the way you are saying, I think that is the main problem is that the worker conditions, because that is very bad. I think that people don't like to listen such things.
The
That is bad.
thing is, not a lot of people know, right, Dante? Because these companies do a very good job in hiding this information from the public, right?
I heard that in those countries pay very well.
They pay well.
Heard the contrary. I don't know. I have friends from Peru, for example, or in Spain. They say that in Qatar or Emiratos,
Los Emiratos, sí.
Emiratos, they pay very well.
I mean, if you're skilled and educated, yeah, they'll pay you well, right? But if you are someone from a poor country, right, You are
Yeah.
being used to build their buildings and design, or not design, but I mean be their working class, right?
Yeah.
So those folks, they don't pay well at all. I mean, I don't think it's right for someone who comes to your country to take their passport away, for example.
Yeah, that's very bad.
Once you do that, they're stuck. They can't move, right?
No, that's
And they don't
uh,
they don't know English. They don't know any languages. These people come from small villages, maybe in their home countries, right? These companies publish letters, or in the newspaper they write, "Come to Los Emiratos. You will get so much money every month. You will get $100, $200, 100 euros," and these people cannot imagine 100 euros, how much money that is, right?
I mean,
To them, it's like heaven. Es el paraíso. I mean, they
yeah.
100 euros is unbelievable money for them. So they go, and then they arrive, and they realize that there's no way for them to leave.
Right, that is like the hell, the hell. It's a hell.
It is.
You
It
can.
is. You can research this as well. They have a lot of videos. One of them is called Los Esclavos de Dubai, Slaves of
Yeah.
Dubai, right? And they have it's an extremely sad. And if you go on YouTube, you can look this up. It's an extremely sad story. I mean, these people, okay, they're not educated, whatever, right?
Mhm.
But they don't deserve to be treated like animals, right? Even if they're not educated. So it's a big problem, and I think the idea of Qatar saying, for example, this is now a top priority for them, for their country. Their prime minister has said this is something that we will look into, right? This is something that is a top priority. He is taking personal responsibility for this. I honestly don't know. I mean, 9 more years. These stadiums that they're building will take all of these 9 years to complete, right? I
Yeah.
mean, how can they guarantee human rights when for the past 20 years they have not guaranteed anything? And now, how can they guarantee anything in these last 9 years when the pace of growth is so much more demanding, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but I mean, I've been talking a lot, Dante. I'll let you speak to some of these things. Why is the weather so important? Why do you think people are so worried about the weather in a country like Qatar in the summer?
I don't know. I think that it can be about the hug, no? Because the hug is I heard that the hug is very high.
Yeah, it's
Um,
extremely hot temperatures, right?
I think that the worry of the people is the about the well of the people and the players
Hmm.
because it's dangerous if in a match is more than 50 degrees
Hmm.
Celsius is is dangerous.
Yeah, it's very dangerous, right? And what do the players represent for the teams?
Could you repeat the question, please?
Yeah, yeah, sure. How important are the players in a team?
Woo. The more important because they are going to play the match.
And also, they bring lots of money, right?
Yeah,
So, for example, people who watch Brazil play, right? Brazil
right.
will have, Ronaldinho. Uh, Portugal will have, maybe
Ronaldo.
Ronaldo, right? So I mean,
Right.
all these people, right? So these players are big, big sources of fame, sources. I mean, it's almost like an image, right? You create your country's image based around your players,
Yeah.
and that's a big deal, right? If your players refuse to play, what will happen? There's no game.
The World Cup. it's not going to be uh, interesting.
Yeah, it's not
And
going to be interesting. You're not going to have
yeah,
the good players play, and no one's going to want to watch, right?
yeah. Uh, I didn't know. I'm very surprised. I didn't know about the worker conditions. Uh,
Pe- People don't know, Dante, and it's because they don't. I mean, the companies don't want people to know this information, right?
yeah, I'm I'm very surprised. I'm going to investigate. I'm going to put on YouTube, on Google, slaves of Dubai.
Uh-huh. It's going to be really sad. It's going to be really
I don't
sad.
know. I feel a bit silly
Yeah.
because uh, I don't know. Think maybe a lot of people know now about this topic, but I didn't. I
Hmm.
didn't know.
No, I think the truth, Dante, is a lot of people don't know.
Don't know.
I think a lot of people don't know because, I mean, who cares, right? I
Do you
mean,
know? Do you? Well, I don't. Do you know the Raúl? Raúl is a player of in Spain.
hmm
Raúl is
I don't
in
know him.
Qatar.
No, no lo
Raúl is in
conozco.
Qatar. In Spain,
Uh-huh.
people say that Raúl is receiving a lot of money. He has great charges,
Hmm.
great responsibilities. I don't know, but is as you say, no, people who have the qualifications
Hmm.
uh, maybe receive good conditions, but people uh, who has low qualifications uh, receive the uh, back 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 threat. No?
Hmm. Receive. I mean, receive. They have no rights. They have no power.
Yeah,
I mean, at least if, por lo menos, if you don't want somebody in your country, send them back,
right,
right?
right.
Pero si toman los pasaportes no pueden hacer nada. I mean, they they can't leave, right? I mean,
That
you're keeping them in your country by taking away their passports, right?
that's that's terrible. I don't know. I think that it's terrible because we are 2013, 21 century,
21st century, right?
21st century.
Uh,
The those things don't exist in this time. I don't,
en el Medio Oriente, cada cosa es posible.
I don't know. I didn't know.
They are still, Dante. I swear, yo nací allá, right? And they have a very interesting situation when it comes to, I think their culture and their society are still at a stage where we can't say that they are on the same page as the rest of the world.
Mm.
I mean,
But
the people are trying. People are trying, but the change is taking much too long, I think, to take place.
right.
And what another problem is if we talk about the workers' rights. Another problem is the countries that the workers are coming from are not giving any pressure, right?
Right.
So, for example, if it was Peru or if it was Spain or if it was a country that respected its own people, they would say, this is wrong, stop doing this. Or they would prevent their own citizens from going to these countries, right?
Yeah.
But
Right.
they don't care either. So, I mean, for the country, like for a poor country, the fact that their people are leaving to go to work and be abused and be treated like animals doesn't matter for the country because they're getting the money every month from these poor workers, right? Why do these workers go to los Emiratos to these countries? They go because they are sending money back to their family, right?
Right.
That's the whole idea. And the government is making money from this money that they're sending back.
I was heard that those countries are very rich. I
Los Por ejemplo, los Emiratos,
Emiratos is very rich,
they are, they
or
are.
no? And I don't know why they do such things if they are rich.
Well, they are rich, but they want to keep their money for their people, right?
Yeah, I understand.
I
No,
mean, why give all the money to los pobres de la India?
okay, that's terrible.
You know, it's a very difficult situation, Dante. But I think people are making change, but it's very slow. And I think with the 2022 World Cup, I mean, 9 years, Qatar, I heard, is making plans to create these humongous, like huge stadiums, and some of them are going to have, roofs that can move, so the sun comes out, the roof closes, so there's no sunlight, and they're trying very hard to minimize the hot temperature, right? They're making very advanced stadiums. So
Mm,
with all of these plans, I don't know how they're also going to respect workers' rights. You know,
right. They are
uh,
going to, the workers are going to work all the day from
yeah,
from 6 a.m. to 6 a.m.
yeah.
I don't know that.
If you watch this video, or I mean, there are other videos also, but slaves of Dubai and stuff like that, they work 6 days a week, and they don't have any. Uh, they work maybe 13 hours a day, right? So from 6 o'clock in the morning to 7 o'clock at night, right? And they don't have any vacation, nothing. They get their money at the end of every month. Sometimes they don't even get food. They don't get food every day.
That's terrible.
Yeah,
It's
because I
terrible.
mean, who cares, Dante? Who cares? Son pobres, no van a hacer nada, no tienen derechos, no pueden hacer nada.
That's terrible. I am very surprised.
I
Totally
know
surprised.
it's tough. It's tough, Dante.
I
It's very.
didn't. I'm when my wife gets. I'm going to ask her about the topic. I
Mhm.
think that she doesn't know
Uh-huh.
those things. She I think that she thinks the same that I was thinking
Mm-hmm.
about Emirates or
Hay, un-
Qatar.
hay una, hay una clase de esclavos al base de esa sociedad.
I don't know. I Did you know a new recently? There was a player in Ecuador,
Ajá,
el Chucho Benítez.
ajá.
That player died in Qatar the last 2 months or 3 months before. They say that Chucho Benítez wasn't mm, mm, wasn't assist uh, for the medicals uh, quickly, and for that reason he dies.
Mhm.
Mm, I heard a new that news 2 or 3 months ago.
Yeah, I'm just reading this article right now about that Ecuador striker Chucho Benitez dead after playing a match in Qatar. Yeah, it's they're saying because of the temperature. Yeah.
Yeah, that I don't know. That player I think had a problem in his hair, but the reason was the medicals don't
Mhm.
assist. The medicals don't assist quickly to the player. I don't know.
Mhm.
Um,
This can be a
that
big problem
yeah, that player was so important for
for Ecuador.
Ecuador.
Uh-huh.
Yes, it was one of the best player of that team because my wife is from Ecuador. My, um, they were
Sad,
uh,
right?
so sad about him.
Yeah.
He was very young. He has 27, 28 years old.
Mhm.
I don't know.
It's very sad, Dante, because I mean, I don't know, no one knows. No one knows what happens in these countries. Like, they have, what's funny is Qatar is the base of the channel Al Jazeera, right? Have you heard of Al Jazeera?
Yeah,
Al Jazeera is maybe the Middle East's CNN,
yeah.
right? A very, very popular news channel. But Al Jazeera is not allowed to report anything negative about Qatar.
Oh my God.
They are based in Qatar, and as a result of them being based in Qatar, as when I last heard, they are not allowed to report anything bad about Qatar, about the royal family, about the government, about the politics, nothing. But they can say anything they want about anything about any other country, but not
Yeah.
about Qatar, right? So I mean, even when you look at the media that's being, that they're controlling, or the news and everything else, it's a very, very, there are a lot of, hay muchas sombras en estas noticias, no? I mean, we don't know what is going on. There's shadows, there are people in the shadows, there are people playing in the background, right? It, they say that the fact that this country won the title to host the Olympic, or to host the World Cup in 2022, it's all politics, you know. It's money, it's politics. I mean, Qatar is an extremely rich country,
Yeah.
so who knows how they manipulated the system.
But Blatter says another day that it was wrong that Qatar uh, is going to be the World Cup
Hmm.
hoster of
The host nation. Uh-huh.
the whole nation.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy, but no sé qué puedo decir, honestly, Dante. It's a little crazy. Anyway,
Yeah.
Dante, it was a great class. I know it's very late in Spain. I want to give you time to rest if you want to maybe go back to sleep. But um, did you have any questions of anything we talked about, Dante? So we talked about the subject-verb agreement, right? We also looked at this example, a lot of different ideas of Qatar from this article, los esclavos, and also the idea of I had no idea about Chucho Benitez.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing that. I had no idea. Um, it's sad. I didn't know Chucho Benitez was. Ecuador has a strong soccer team, right?
Yes, it's strong.
Hmm.
The last year Ecuador has done a great paper
Hmm.
uh, in the tournament.
Hmm. Are they
But
better
playable.
than Peru?
In this moment, yes.
Really?
In this moment, Peru is very bad. In
Oh,
this moment,
wow.
it's the truth. It's true. The football in Peru in this moment, there are corruption in Peru in
Uh-huh.
the federation, in the national federation. There are corruption. It's
Hmm.
very bad the football.
Hmm.
I don't know. I think the that corruption finishes. I
Hmm.
hope. I hope that corruption finishes.
You hope that corruption ends, Dante.
Yes, I
Ends.
hope the corruption ends.
Uh-huh. Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Hopefully, hopefully.
yeah,
We can just hope.
yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, Dante, fue un super placer. Did you have any other questions you wanted to ask about the article or
No,
about our lesson? Uh-huh.
no, I don't have questions about the article.
Uh-huh. What about anything about the subject verb agreement or anything like that?
Will you repeat?
Anything about like the lesson for the grammar? We looked at subject verb agreement. Any questions on that?
No, I don't have any questions
No
on that.
questions?
No,
Okay.
no.
Well, I was really glad you joined the class, Dante. I hope you maybe get a chance to read about Los Esclavos de Dubai desafortunadamente. It's something that affects the world, and maybe by 2022 we can see some change in that part of the country, in that part of the world. But
Yeah,
I don't know
yeah.
right now.
Ojalá, como dije,
Ojalá que
que hayan cambios.
sí, sí, exactamente. So anyway,
Ojalá.
ojalá. ¿No? All right, Dante. It was a pleasure. I hope to see you again soon then.
Nice to meet.
Uh-huh.
I don't know how to say.
¿Cómo se
Nice.
dice cuál cosa?
Que fue una bonita sesión. It was a nice session, ¿no?
It was a nice session. Yeah, thank you
It
for
was a
it
nice
was a
session.
nice session. Fantastic.
Mm.
Thank you so much, Dante.
Thank you, Farhan.
Have a great day. Que tenga buen día.
Lo mismo, Farhan. Cuídate.
Muchas gracias. Cuídate también.
Chao, Farhan.
Chao.
Chao.
Is Emmy's friend? Yeah, I think it's Emmy's friend. C'est le père de Monsieur Tangojo book.
It was writing HTTP
Oh, really? At the end of
in
the
in
link.
the last part of the link.
Uh-huh.
I think that the partners maybe have the same problem. For
Sure,
that
sure.
reason, they can get into
To the class, right?
the logic.
That's interesting. Okay, I'm gonna check. I think since you made it, sorry about that, Dante. I was disconnected. Since you made it, I think maybe we'll be okay. But I'm just trying to see if there are any other. We'll see if somebody else can join. Unfortunately, I don't know what's maybe controlling the link. Um, my friends on the development side will be able to help us out with that. I can tell them that maybe that you had that problem so that they can fix it. But how else have you been, Dante? How's life?
Well, it has been very well.
Hmm.
Resting for the weekend.
I know, right? Today was okay. So really nice. I love these like it's gotta call me. My mom changed her profile picture. It's funny. Interesting. Hey, how's it going, Dante?
Fine. How are you, Farhan?
Good, good. How are you?
Fine. Uh, there was a problem with to connect
To Colingo?
to join the class.
Uh-huh. Is it something that is still causing problems? I think it's okay now, right?
Uh,
Because you're able to join.
in the URL, I have to erase the last four characters
Hmm.
to get into.
You had to erase the last four. I'm sorry, what was that?
Could you repeat?
You had to erase the last four. What was the word after that?
I have to erase the last four characters.
Characters. Uh-huh. Characters. Uh-huh.
Characters. Yes,
Uh-huh.
in the at the URL.
Oh, no way. Okay.
It was written. No,